indigenous resistance, the fossil fuel infrastructure projects effectively burdened 12% of the fossil fuel extraction in the United States and Canada. I have some very complicated feelings about that number, but it has me thinking again about something I'd like to share. I'd like us to reflect on a tendency that activists often have, where we cheer on people who are less privileged than us in struggles where they have no choice but to participate, and then leave them to it. Climate activists pursuing a just transition are going to be better about this than most, if only because they're aware of the problem. But time and time again, I'm made uncomfortable by how our privilege makes these abandonments inevitable. Even when we travel to the front lines and put our bodies on the line, something which we consider to be an act of great commitment, we're there for a few days, maybe a week, and then we head back home to our day jobs and comfortable homes and pursue forms of activism that, if nothing else, probably aren't going to put us in a prison where we have to eat moldy meatballs. This problem isn't unique to indigenous water protectors, as we do it to youth activists too. Recall when Greta Thunberg made her first big splash, and people were so impressed and said that the young people were giving them hope, and then essentially started counting on them to solve the problem. But in the case of these indigenous activists, it's much worse, because when you get right down to it, their fundamental struggle isn't even about climate change. It's against a 500-year campaign of genocide. It just so happens that that campaign of genocide is also murdering the entire planet. I worry that we're doing to them what so many people did to Greta, where we admire their strength and courage without also aspiring to it, leaving them to carry not only their own burdens, but ours as well. For my part, I am first and foremost a writer or a propagandist or what have you, and I think that's good work. This counts. But what it means is that when I'm doing my thing, I am sitting in front of my fancy gaming computer in a very comfortable chair in a warm and cozy apartment. And when I feel like I'm done, I climb into my warm and comfortable bed. And right now, that doesn't feel okay. So I would like us to think about what, if anything, we can do to bridge this gap.
So I'm just going to check. Is anyone here from Sunrise that wanted to speak? Okay, so Micah is going to come up and she's going to just say a few words. Ada was going to speak from Sunrise, but she actually woke up very sick this morning and she was looking for someone to step in. So I think Micah's going to come up. She's going to do a couple of words about the youth movement and about an action they have this week, and then she's going to sing a quick song, and then Rabbi Stone is going to speak next. Whoa. Micah, I'm going to have you do the song after that, like the ship's song.
Oh, I was just gonna... Yeah. Hello. You guys know this tent is right in the way of the speakers? Hello. My name is Micah, and I use he, him pronouns, and I am the community engagement coordinator for a group called Neighbors for Clean Air. And I worked with the Sunrise Movement for about a year and a half. And the youth movement is struggling, is really struggling, because there are a lot of people who know that they are aligned, but at the same time that young people have to work together, they have to fight literally the things that they have been taught. They have to work through the differences that have been put between them, and there are a lot of differences that have been put between them. You can see them on my t-shirt. We have to unlearn all of these things to understand how to look at each other as human beings, right? And exist on this earth with each other. The youth have to learn what it means for all of our issues to be interconnected. And we don't have support, right? All of you have spent your lives learning this, and we're very grateful to you. But for the young people out here, they know what I'm talking about. The pressure is immense. And the time, it's not running out. It's not running out because this earth is going to kick us off before the earth expires, right? John Trudell said, wait, I want to get this right. I just learned about John Trudell. John Trudell was an incredible Indigenous activist who was huge in the American Indian movement, who was dangerous to the state because he was eloquent, and who was a major part in the, I'm so sorry, what's that prison that starts with an A in San Francisco? Alcatraz. Y'all know who John Trudell is. It is not in man's destiny to destroy the earth. That's arrogance. What it is in man's destiny to do is to destroy civilized man's ability to live with the earth. We as human beings, if we take responsibility in our lives and live in a coherent manner, we will have an answer for this disease. Maybe we should be developing our loyalty to this planet and this earth and our future, our descendants, more than we should be to governing political systems that have created all of these problems. More people are trying to find the solutions to these problems, but they're trying to do it within the confines of the abstractions of democracy. If they're not willing to think objectively about our responsibilities towards our own descendants, they will come up with no solutions. They will only perpetuate enslavement. John Trudell said that. Yeah, he was a great guy. I'm going to do one song now, and then the rabbi is going to speak, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to do a song together. But this is a song by Moses Sumney, and it's been weighing on my heart when I'm reading the tales of other activists who are at COP26, other people who are my age, 22, 23, 24, 25, and just saying that they're not being listened to, and that they're getting kicked out of conference for being young. But this is my first time performing this song live, so Sean, will you record it for me? Okay, this song is by Moses Sumney. Hollow one with inverted tongue, from which does fulfillment come? When I expel from this mortal shell, will I die for living now? Am I vital if my heart is idle? Am I doomed? Nobody else, as though you're someone I can't see. Though you see nothing of the stoic suffering that stirs lukewarm in me. If lovelessness is godlessness, will you cast me to the wayside? Well, I feel the peeling of half-painted ceilings, reveal the covering of a blank sky. Am I doomed? Cry down me so I can see if I'm doomed.
Okay, so we're going to have Rabbi Ariel Stone come up, and she has been a congregation Shir Tikah spiritual leader since its founding, and also is one of the founders of the Portland Interfaith Clergy Resistance, and a member of the clergy who boldly supported Black Lives Matter during last summer's response to George Floyd's murder. And she's been a longtime activist who has been out there with all kinds of movements, and we are happy to have her here.
Now that we're all vaccinated, I don't even know if this is necessary, but there's a thing of them over here, and each person who comes up might want to do it. I don't know. There is no planet B. This is your mother speaking. From the trees, from the sky, from the depths of the seas, from the ground beneath our feet, breathing in fire, in air, in water, breathing out, winged, feathered, scaled. This is where we are from. This is where we go. This is our life. Among my people, there's a ceremony called Havdalah, which we observe when the sun goes down on Saturday evening every week. I want to invite you to consider this ancient teaching as one of the possible weapons in our arsenal of peace. Havdalah means separation. Havdalah means making distinctions, distinguishing between daylight and darkness, distinguishing between lies and truth, distinguishing between that which is said and that which is done. My friends, it is so easy to give in to despair, to give in to cynicism, to just feel overwhelmed and be tired and let that mean you've done enough. After all, don't we all need a rest? After all, there's a lot of stress. This is hard. It's hard to believe that the forces of evil might be stronger than the forces of good, but it dogs us at our ankles all the time. What do we do? How are we going to sustain it? Each one of us has to make a distinction. What are you strong at? What are you good at? Each one of us is going to have to make a distinction, a narrowing of focus. Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, you cannot do it all, according to my tradition. But you are not free to walk away from what you are able to do. A teacher said once upon a time in the activist world, I don't go back out there every day because I think I'm going to win. I go back out there because this is who I am. It's not about winning or losing. It's about winning or losing myself. I'm going to add to the definition of that which is arrogance. It's arrogance to believe you can do everything you want to do or feel needs to be done. Because no single human being is capable of that. That's mistaking yourself for God. in a bad way. Life is variegated. All of us are part of the different colors and shapes and sizes. None of us can do that which is not ours to do. And we have to understand that if all of us hold up, each one of us, our piece of the universe, our one piece, that we can do. Look at your strengths. Look at what you are able to do. There's nothing wrong with saying I can't be in two places at one time, or as my people say, you can't dance at two weddings with one tush. There's only one thing at a time you can do. Whatever that thing is, you'll know it's the right thing if it strengthens you to do it and allows you to keep to the path that you're on. And you will know that you have done everything Mother Earth needs you to do. She wants each one of us to step up in our own unique way. We will only survive this struggle by focusing in on our humanity and not trying to be superhuman. One more thought about distinguishing and making distinctions and making separations. As we discover our path, there might be a natural tendency to see a gulf between the path one of us chooses and the path another one chooses. My deepest hope for us is that we are able to each respect each other's path as the best each one of us can do in any given moment, and call each other in when it's time for the hot cocoa, call each other in for when it's time for the gathering to replenish our strength, without needing the way we show up to be in any way the same as what the next person is doing. Love, as Dr. Martin Luther King said, is the only thing that can drive out hate. Hate cannot do it. Only love can do it. And so I offer you this thought to close. If the path you're on doesn't allow you to grow your ability to love, keep looking for your path.
So while we all focus in our own organizations on many issues, we also work towards building a movement together that can mobilize to support each other's issues. And it's also really important that we center the voices of frontline communities and ensure that climate justice is truly our goal. This week in particular, there's a focus on the international and how our actions here in the U.S. are basically, and other developing parts of the world, are basically the problems that folks in the global south and in developing nations are going to be most highly impacted by the climate chaos that follows. And so today we wanted to have some speakers that can speak to us from that international perspective. Claire Wild organizes with the Kalikasan Solidarity Organization and the International Coalition for Human Rights in the Philippines. And they have an event on the November 10th this next week in the Climate Justice Calendar, which is at orclimatehub.org. And we're hoping that that calendar launch in the new year will be a collective calendar that will make the process of all of us plugging in and supporting each other's issues a lot easier. So is Claire here?
There she is. Hi, can everyone hear me? Great, okay. So Kalikasan is a Tagalog word for nature, and Kalikasan Solidarity Organization is a grassroots people's organization based in Portland and part of the global movement for environmental justice here and in the Philippines. My comrades and I are so honored to be here with you for this Global Day of Climate Action. Due to its geographical location along prime trade routes and the fact that it is extremely rich in natural resources, the Philippines has been targeted for plunder by the ruling class for centuries and was colonized first by Spain and then by the United States. In 2019, the Philippines was named the deadliest country for environmental defenders in the world, and in 2020 it was the second deadliest. While environmental defenders are murdered in cold blood by the state for standing up to multinational corporations, Filipinos also suffer the ravages of extreme weather events like typhoons, which are getting worse each year. These storms have become increasingly devastating due to extractive projects across the country, which have stripped the land of its ability to withstand the force. Like other nations in the global south, the Philippines is on the front lines of the climate chaos, while being among those countries least responsible for the problem. We know that this situation has been created by imperialism and monopoly capitalism, and we know that American multinational corporations in particular are among the prime drivers of this global crisis. Even when they're pushing green energy projects, they're still doing it for profit, and they are stealing indigenous people's land and murdering environmental defenders in the process. Chevron is a company the Filipino people have called on environmental justice allies to expose as one of the true criminals of this fight. Chevron has ravaged the Cordillera region of the Philippines, an area that is particularly rich in natural resources, has violated the sovereignty of indigenous peoples, and has committed egregious human rights abuses as it developed its Kalinga geothermal project starting in 2010. Despite the explicit and organized opposition of the people to this project, the US-backed regime of current Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte pushed it forward. It is impossible to overstate the murderous recklessness of this puppet regime. Our work is fueled by the anger we feel when we remember that it is our government here in the US who funds, endorses, and models such policies, whose policy toward indigenous people on these lands has always been and continues to be land theft and genocide for the sake of profit. KSO and our allies were devastated but not surprised to learn that the Oregon State Treasury invests our money into Chevron. Right? Treasurer Tobias Reed has so far refused to divest our tax dollars from Chevron despite being directly informed about the devastating situation in the Cordilleras. In fact, he responded to our demand by pointing out that Chevron is engaged in similar activities worldwide, as though that were a reason to sit on our hands rather than an impetus to act with urgency. Know that if you pay taxes in this state, your money is being used to fund Chevron, directly contributing to their desecration of the land as they terrorize land defenders in the Philippines as well as all around the world. In solidarity with the people of the Cordillera, we demand that Oregon State divest from Chevron. We demand an end to our complicity in the atrocities happening in the Cordillera and across the globe. We also call for the passage of the Philippine Human Rights Act, or PHRA, a proposed piece of legislation that would suspend United States security assistance to the Philippines until human rights violations by the Philippine security forces cease and the responsible state forces are held accountable. Join us in asking Representative Blumenauer to go a step beyond signing the PHRA and bring the PHRA to Glasgow with him next week. We stand alongside the Filipino people in their call to end the corrupt Duterte government and call on all people in the U.S. to end U.S. military aid to the Philippines. As KSO, we fight alongside environmental defenders in the Philippines in their struggle to defend their lands and cultures and win freedom from foreign intervention and domestic exploitation. Becoming active in political community organizations committed to international solidarity is our only path to victory. Our enemies, the powers of imperialism and global capitalism, are devastatingly well organized. And we must be too. No matter who you are, there is a place for you in this movement. So join us and the other mass organizations present today. Join us to demand that Oregon divest from Chevron. Join us in telling our elected representatives to bring the concerns of the Filipino people and all those on the front lines of the climate crisis to Glasgow. Join KSO and take part in the global movement for environmental justice and the liberation of peoples oppressed by imperialism. If you're already in an organization, well done, amazing work. Have your organization join the International Coalition for Human Rights in the Philippines for a true immersion in the power of international solidarity. As world leaders meet to discuss the climate catastrophe wrought by the unchecked spread of imperialism and monopoly capitalism, it is more important than ever that we make our voices heard. The people have always been the true makers of history. United, we will never be defeated.
So that's right, greenwashing. We want to be able to know that it's our job to pressure corporations and government to tell the truth. And we want to expose greenwashing in all of its various forms. We also need to talk to as many people as possible, our friends, our family, every day, and make these crises visible. This week, Donna, who's back here, is helping with Burma Shave signs around town where people are driving by. We did one last week and it was really powerful to be able to really get the word out about what's going on to a lot of people. So if you have an hour that you could spare, see Donna in the blue raincoat right here. She'll sign you up. And we need to be frequently out in public areas talking to people and going to public events and leafleting and talking. And so if that's something that you're willing to do, I think that we have to build from this kind of crowd to get to 100,000. That's kind of a big start. It's not always preaching to the choir. So Wendy's going to share a song with us right now.
Okay, I haven't had time to sound check, so I'm going to hope for the best here. I took a nap this afternoon that I really didn't have time for, I suppose. So this little tune is about kind of what Diana was saying. You know, it's kind of amazing that, thank you everyone for coming out. It always blows me away though that, here we are, we're facing all these crises, like all the human suffering. The very end of the world is at hand. And hardly anybody, we're out here and it's great, but there should be so many more people out here. And so this is a little bit speaking to that.
Get right on it, Whitney. Get right on it.
Someone asked me why I'm a rebel, well, let me see. Global inequality and poverty, a refugee crisis, rising seas, plastic pollution in our own bodies, mass extinction, a great dying. I think the question is, why aren't you a rebel? Why aren't you a rebel too?
Thank you, Wendy. So, Idil is going to speak now, and Idil's a Somali student and youth organizer and a member of the Huria Collective, working for the liberation of Muslims around the world, supporting democratic and anti-imperialist struggles, and organizing against Islamophobia, militarism, and state-sanctioned violence. Thank you for being here.
Hello everyone, how are we doing? I'm so glad to be here with you all today. Huria Collective is an anti-imperialist Muslim collective, and we take our praxis from our faith tradition. And they provide us with an ethical framework and mandate for respecting and honoring the earth and all forms of life. The natural balance between people and systems has been disrupted by capitalism, settler colonialism, and imperialism, stemming from the overconsumption, overexploitation, and overuse of our world's finite and natural resources. Our current environmental catastrophe shows us that the only response to climate change is whole-scale system change. This is climate imperialism, and it's the world's poor, those who live in the global south, and all frontline communities who are bearing the brunt of this ecological disaster. Climate imperialism thrives on the exploitation of workers and the interdependence of the weapon and oil industries. And while world leaders meet in Scotland and try to gaslight the global community by reducing the problem to one that can be resolved on an individual scale, we know that this problem is institutional. These same world leaders and the countries and institutions they represent pocket the profits of the military fossil fuel industrial complex. Public institutions, higher education, and local and state governments must also shoulder their complicity in the climate crisis and the fact that they have robbed the futures of our communities and of generations. People and planet over profit. We know that our fight against militarism and U.S. imperialism is also a fight for our climate and for a better and more habitable world. The U.S. military is the single largest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. Our fight against climate imperialism must be a fight against every individual and corporation that profits off of blood spilled in the global south. We are demanding a global system change because we know that these systems that are destroying our livelihood and planet cannot be reformed. We are in the fight for our lives. Every year at the so-called Conference of Parties, or COP, the United Nations is inundated with business and financial lobbyists and executives representing the interests of the monopoly business class. And because of this, every solution that's proposed by the UN has prioritized the profit-making of energy and agricultural organizations while denying the scientific reality that we are on a road towards ecological collapse. A genuine solution doesn't come from the elites. Climate justice must be demanded by the people. Climate justice requires the liberation and self-determination of all peoples, the collective ownership of land and its products, and the recognition of indigenous peoples' claims to the land of their ancestors for future generations. Climate justice must include socioeconomic development and social equity for all working people, and an economy designed to serve people's needs and avoid wasteful overproduction. We must unite and fight for climate justice and human rights by combating imperialist plunder and the business of war making, and fighting for systems that prioritize people's rights, environmental sustainability, and international solidarity. As imperialism and fascism rises across the planet and the climate catastrophe worsens, we at Huria Collective, as a part of the International League of People's Struggles, will commit to wage actions that will serve the people and our global economy, and not the profit of transnational monopoly corporations. The ILPS is an anti-imperialist and democratic alliance with over 350 organizations in 45 countries, and today ILPS members across the world are taking to the streets to demand a people's response to the climate crisis, including in front of the COP26 in Scotland. Only by uniting together can we fight for a livable future against the political power of the business class. If you're part of an anti-imperialist organization, we invite your org to join ILPS. Please come find me or any of my comrades if you're interested, and let's fight together against the root causes of the climate crisis for a genuine, democratic, and livable future for us all. System change, not climate change. Defend environmental defenders. Defend people's struggles. And long live international solidarity. Thank you all so much.
Wow. Yes. Sorry, I just keep going around these. Yes, we need to learn. Our sister here has started us down that path. We need to train. There are lots of books on movement building, and even short ones like the Resistance Guide, where you can find online and have simple summaries, learn from past successful movements. And you can we all need to get trained in movement skills, and by getting involved and doing small regular actions with people that we trust, building small affinity groups or resistance circles of folks that you enjoy being with and who support each other in acting together. Weekly calls and letter writing, monthly trainings and issue actions, all of those things are super important. So we're going to have Robin come up and speak to us. Robin is... He's something. Robin White is of Cheyenne Lakota heritage and an enrolled member of the Oglala, originally from Pine Ridge. He's an artist and activist organizer for labor and indigenous rights, and we've asked him to speak somewhat straddling these two dual roles today.
Hey everybody. So, Greta was right. The COP is bullshit. It means nothing. It's a bunch of corporations getting together and deciding what they're not going to do. My tribe is the poorest place in North America. The life expectancy is 52 and 54 years old. Kids as young as 6 years old committing suicide. We're dying of things that people quit dying of 70, 80 years ago. Unemployment at 96%. The reason I tell you this is because they've been ravaged by these corporations. Every settlement has always been a corporation. The fur traders, the miners, every country that's come in here has been a corporation that came to exploit everything in their path. The tribe, my tribe is the poorest in the nation, but we're also sitting on over $1 billion in the bank that we won't touch because they're trying to pay us for the Black Hills, and they don't understand that it's not about money. It's about the Black Hills. It's about Mother Earth. It's about what's right. It's about what's spiritual. It's about what is human. It's not about a green dollar. And I think this is important. You know, when we think about, sure we have to have a job, sure we have to eat, but we're kind of a lot of whiners in this country. And I understand how we got there, but we realize that now we don't have 30 years, we don't have 40 years. We thought we did, but we know that timeline is shorter and shorter and shorter. And that we have to do what we need to do to get things done. So when we intersect with labor, what does that mean? We need more unions. We need that ability to stand up to the corporations. We need that ability to be as one unit when we're going up against these people. The real savior in the United States for quite some time, and actually in a lot of other countries, has been unionization. And the workers standing up for what's right. It's certainly true in the Philippines, it's certainly true in Europe. Say what you want about the French, but when it comes down, they shut that shit down, right? And that's what we need to do, and we need to continue to do. You need to make sure that every investment that the company you work for makes, that the school you go to makes, that you make if you have a retirement program, that they are not investing in these, that they're investing in these. Yeah, see, tell them. The Wakinian should be here pretty quick. You'll hear some thunder. So, come on, crowd in here if you need to. We're all friends. So, make sure that the way to cut this snake's head off is by economy. If you cut the money out of it, if you make it not profitable, it will become a thing of the past. If we're investing in the alternatives and the alternative industries where we're getting in on the ground floor, and we control what those wages are, we control who get those jobs, we control what businesses come out of there, then we're gonna have some satisfaction. We're gonna be able to get where we need to be. But the money, you gotta go where the money is. Follow the money. All right? So talk to your congressman, talk to your people you work for, talk to the people you work with, and start changing where the money's going. That's the only way we're going to get to where we need to go. I don't need to talk about the rest of the things that everybody's already said. You guys know where you know where you need to go. But let's make it a worldwide union. Let's make workers get together and get things done. These corporations are talking to people that are working for them, and they've got them by a stranglehold, and they're afraid for their jobs, they're afraid for their livelihoods. But you know what? There's no guarantees anyway. You're gonna get screwed one way or the other. So you might as well fight for the right thing. Don't let them talk you into the idea that it's okay to ruin the earth and ruin the water to make food for your kids. It doesn't work like that. Those kids have to drink that water. They have to have food from that land. Don't buy into it. Let's start becoming a world union. Let's get labor together. Let's get environment together. Start thinking about things in watersheds versus arbitrary borders that white folk change every time that they think it's necessary to get rid of some more indigenous people. Let's do it. I don't have anything more to say. You guys know what you're doing. Go on, let's get out there and get it done. Right on, man.
Thank you. So we have one more speaker. I'm not sure if it's Liz Broomfield or if somebody else came from Representative Blumenauer's office. Yay! Oh, there you are! Oh my gosh, out in the rain and with your...
Hi, can everyone hear me? There's been a lot of invocation of my boss's name today. And I work for Congressman Blumenauer. And I just want to let you all know that I'm listening. He cares about what you have to say. That's the reason I'm here. He is flying to COP, and he wanted to let you know why he's going, and he wanted to collect ideas, feedback, priorities from you all. I'm gonna come under here for a second. So I have a very short statement to read, and I'm gonna leave some cards so that y'all can contact me. You can send me things to send to him, ideas, suggestions, demands. but he's here. He's listening. He's not actually here. I'm here for him, but he's listening. Okay, here we go. Friends, this is an historic moment. Right now, as our planet and our communities are reeling from an onslaught of climate-fueled disasters, we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to advance bold and transformative climate policies and create a more livable world for our children. And we must meet the moment. This requires unprecedented action, both on the national stage in Congress and on the international stage in Glasgow. I'm headed there. I'm attending COP26 to work with world leaders and to share ideas to advance these bold solutions. After years of voluntary pledges and agreements, these tools are insufficient. We know this. The world is in a new era of climate disasters, and we must ourselves begin a new era, one that prioritizes large-scale emissions reductions, mitigation, and resilience, all under principles of a just transition. I want you to know that I am bringing Portland values with me on the international stage. We need a livable, resilient, clean energy future, a future where our communities aren't choked by wildfire smoke and our neighborhoods aren't sweltering under oppressive heat waves.
Yeah.
I'm carrying your energy and your advocacy into these conversations, and I truly believe that we can change the course of our planet for the better. Together, we can make a difference. We just have to be bold enough to do it. So he wants your bold ideas. Give them to me. Let him take them there. Thank you.
Don't expand freeways. Stop expanding freeways.
So, speaking of expanded freeways, on Wednesday, the Sunrise Group has invited us all to join them at 6 o'clock at 123 Northwest Flanders. And we really need people to turn out to try and really support the youth in their work. This is Youth versus ODOT. It's been going on. This is their like 4th month of having these staging their presence and trying to make it very clear that this is not acceptable. So we're gonna sing one song all together. I think Donna's got words for that she's handing out. We were going to spend some time and kind of do a candlelight reflection on all of the things that the speakers have said, and then break into smaller groups and sort of talk about that. We can, but I think right now, given how cold and wet everybody is, we may just try and sing this song, and then if there are people that want to speak, want to talk, I would say stay under the areas, and otherwise we may call it a day. I think while after they sing, it could be that Micah wants to sing another song as we're taking things down, or as we're talking as well. If you want to hold a candlelight, well, a candle, we have them being lit here, and they will provide you a little bit of warmth. Yeah, so this is a climate anthem that has been sung all over the world. Thank you so much, Liz. That's really good. Yeah, and if anybody wants to talk to Liz, because Earl's headed there next week, it's great to have her here with us, and you can take your message right there. That is unusual with our electeds, is to actually get to have somebody that you can actually talk to in person. So we feel very grateful for that. So here we go.
All right. Yeah. I would normally play my ukulele, but my fingers are just numb. I can't play the instrument right now, so I'm just gonna sing. And you guys sing along with me. We need to wake up. We need to wise up. We need to open our eyes and do it now, now, now. We need to build a better future, and we need to start right now. We're on a planet that has a problem. We've got to solve it, get involved and do it now, now, now. We need to build a better future, and we need to start right now. Make it greener, make it cleaner, make it last, make it fast, and do it now, now, now. We need to build a better future, and we need to start right now. No point in waiting or hesitating. We must get wise, take no more lies, and do it now, now, now. We need to build a better future, and we need to start right now. From the beginning, we need to wake up, we need to wise up, we need to open our eyes and do it now, now, now. We need to build a better future, and we need to start right now. We're on a planet that has a problem. We got to solve and get involved and do it now, now, now. We need to build a better future, and we need to start right now. Make it greener, make it cleaner, make it last, make it fast, and do it now, now, now. We need to build a better future, and we need to start right now. No point in waiting or hesitating. We must get wise, take no more lies, and do it now, now, now. We need to build a better future, and we need to start right now. We need to build a better future, and we need to start right now.
Thanks, guys.
That was great.
Thank you guys for being here.
My
this
fingers went numb,
crazy
and then
weather
I got this thing in my
and
throat.
cold. And if anybody does want to do the small reflection pieces, we can do one group here, one group here, and one group here.
Look at that.
And
My
otherwise,
fingers are totally numb.
thank you so much for
I
being
don't know
here
what's going
today.
on.
Woo! And watch.
My car's right there,
Go
so I'm
to
just
that
gonna bring my
site
stuff
for
in
the
my car.
People's
It's good to
Summit
see
this
you.
week, and to see what the global climate justice movement is called. COP26coalition.org, and that will get you to all of what you need. And watch what's happening around the world today. Hundreds of thousands of people in the streets. We got to build that movement here. I'm with Extinction Rebellion, and we are working really hard to try and figure out how we build that movement. And we would love to talk with you too. So come see us. Oh, if you want to sign up to get our newsletter and be able to know what's going on and what new actions are coming up and what trainings we're doing, all that thing, it's right here.
Guys, that was amazing when you provided the whole sound system. Oh my gosh, that was so great. Thank you. Oh yeah. You say beautiful. Okay. It's like in nice. Thank you. I don't know what's going on. It just sounds good. Okay.
So if people do want to discuss, what we're talking about is that very question about, from what the speakers said, what are some commitments as individuals we would make, but also what are some things that we feel need to happen to get to that place where we need to be 10 years down the road. This decade is absolutely critical. We don't have a lot of time. So we have to get to where we need to be really quickly. 45% emissions decrease at least by 2030. And so to get that happening, we need annual decarbonization of around 8.6 or 9% every year. And how do we start pushing folks for that? And what do we do? So there'll be one group here and one group here if people want to talk, just so that there's a lot less crowding and more health.
You can take everything down because I got a mic in here and a sound system if I need it.
Okay. I'll start turn down.
Yeah.
What's that?
How'd it go yesterday? Did you go out for?
Yes, Rosa Parks was good. Yeah, it was really good. Yeah,
I've been
and
hammered with work the last couple of weeks. Like, that's been really horrible. So, yeah, I couldn't make it yesterday. Maybe next week.
fully understandable, but when you're ready to come, we're ready for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, your song was great.